Hey guys, Scott here. Today I want to talk about the stagnation of Dead by Daylight in general and how it kind of relates to the lack of new content and especially the Haunted by Daylight event that we're currently having. The reason why these things are connected is Behavior has undergone this whole quality of life initiative thing where basically they're delaying new content in order for them to fix a lot of issues with the game. And a lot of people have been asking for this type of Operation Health thing for a while. I and a lot of other people were very cynical about it because it's basically under the assumption that Behavior will actually fix things instead of just not fixing things. And also there's no new content. Of course, that's what's actually happening. So I feel like I was right to be cynical about it. But for the most part, the main issue is that there's nothing really new to look forward to for basically 4 months until January. And unless you are brand new to the game, that's kind of worrisome, at least for the overall player base. Again, if you're brand new, you haven't even seen all the current killers yet. There's plenty of stuff for you to do, and that's fine. But for really everybody else, not having any new content in the game until January is kind of going to be it's not like a deal breaker. The game is dying. It's not that dramatic. It's just going to be like people are just going to get bored and go do other things for a while, which, doesn't really spell the death of the game or anything like that, but it does spell a death of people being interested for, a certain amount of time until we finally get new stuff. The only thing that we actually have in the meantime is events. So the events need to be handled very well and they need to be very fun. The problem is, so far, that's not really happening. The Haunted by Daylight event for this year is just not very interesting at all. It's just the exact same thing as last year, except instead of it being orange, instead of it being blue, it's orange. In fact, people watching the B-roll might not even realize that this B-roll is from last year when I made a video talking about the exact same thing I'm about to talk about here. If they want to reuse the entire event, I might as well reuse my B-roll here. The problem with the Haunted by Daylight event, just like last year, is there's just not enough incentive to interact with the event in general. Unless you're specifically trying to do the challenges themselves, there's just no reason to do it. As Survivor, it is dangerous to go into the void because the killer knows you're exhausted, you are broken, and also you're leaving the safety of the new maps that have 50,000 pallets. Imagine leaving the beautiful, comfy cradle of Forgotten, or not even Forgotten Ruins, even Forgotten Ruins now, but Decimated Borgo, for example, that has like 9 more pallets on it to go to a void where you're broken and the killer knows you're there and you're exhausted and there's like not that much to work with. It's like there's not really much of a reason to go there. So you can get a fog vial, a glorified fog vial. It's just not really worth going there as Survivor. And as Killer, it's not really worth going there. Now, their power is admittedly stronger. It's the exact same one where that just shoots a ghost that does damage in a line. Very boring, but Killer's time is 4 times as valuable as Survivor time. So you spend 20 seconds in the void getting that. That's 80 second Survivors have to just do whatever they want, basically. And in a meta right now where it's significantly harder for Killers to win based on the number of pallets that have been, increased, it's just not worth doing it. It's just, there's no real incentive to interact with the entire event. And again, I said this last year, you can't have an event where the entire event has no reason to interact with the event. Doesn't make any sense. So all this really does is make queue times much worse. My queue times for regular modes have just gotten worse. Queue times for Haunted is worse. All it does is split the player base into worse queue times and has no other real tangible benefit in any way because it's just the same event as last year. The only reason you'd want to interact with these things is to fulfill like challenges or the quests for the actual event itself, and that's it, which I think is kind of lame. You shouldn't really want to do like an MMO checklist. You should want to play the event and then the rewards come naturally from having fun in the event. So I just think that overall they could have done a lot better with this. They just didn't really do much of anything. In fact, they nerfed a lot of stuff. They made the pumpkins give less blood points. The actual arcane dowsing rods cost more now in the blood web. It's just why? Why did they do any of these things? It's just lazy. And like I said, the whole point of these events is to tide us over while there's no new content. And if the events are going to be done this lazily, where it's just basically the same thing as last year, except somehow worse, I'm not really looking forward to the future. Like, what are we going to have next? We're going to have 2v8, which, again, I used to be super rosy about. I used to love 2v8. And frankly, I still do. I think 2v8 is an extremely fun mode. I would say it's more fun than regular DBD. The problem is we cannot ignore the extremely detrimental effects it has on queue time. And this is not something that just affects streamers. If you're a casual player, you don't have time, you get 50 kids and you work 29 jobs, you might have an hour a day to play and you want to play Killer with your friend, you might get 1 or 2 games and that's it. You're done because queue times are 15 to 20 minutes. They tried to fix this by allowing you to queue as Survivor, but it really only helped queue times by like 4 or 5 minutes. Which when it's 20 minutes is not that much. And also some people just don't want to play Survivor in the mode. They want to play Killer with their friends. It's the whole draw of the mode, to play Killer with your friends, something you cannot normally do. You can always play with your friends with Survivor. So the main reason people would play it, you can't even do unless you want to wait 15 to 20 minutes. So it's not that the mode itself is bad. It's just the overall effect it has on queue times is really, really bad. It's so bad that it makes me kind of dread when 2v8 starts coming back. So that's a genuine thing. And obviously for content creators, no one wants to watch 2v8, and also we have to wait in queue for half our stream. That's just not great. It's just really not great for anybody. The mode itself is fine, but the queue times are so bad that, and they just haven't really found a way to fix the issue. Because how do you? If everyone only wants to play one side, how do you fix that? It's like impossible. So I've unfortunately gotten more cynical about 2v8, even though I love the mode. So that's a shame. And then next we're going to have Chaos Shuffle, which normally I would be really excited for, especially this next Chaos Shuffle is going to have randomized items, perks, and add-ons. So everything is random, which is kind of cool. I'm actually interested to see how that's going to play out. The problem is, at least from the killer perspective, this is going to be during this patch where there are so many more palettes on maps to where if you're not playing a top tier killer, you're going to be miserable. But at least the bottom tiers and mid tiers can at least equip things like, Spirit Fury Enduring or Brutal Strength or Dissolution or Blood Favor or things to, mitigate the additional palettes on the map. But if we have Chaos Shuffle, you might get Predator and Blood Warden and just a bunch of random shit that's not going to really help you at all. So that's what I'm worried about. The idea of Chaos Shuffle, I actually really love. And normally, without the palette density changes, I would be looking forward to that more than anything. But in the current form of the game, I'm kind of dreading that too, because I'm not going to be able to run these perks. I'm basically just going to play like only Nemesis. How dare you stop my B-roll? And that's going to get old because you have Pokemon like Nemesis or like any killer that can quickly chew through filler palettes is going to feel really nice, but everyone else is going to feel like shit. So I feel like I'm going to be really limited and kind of bored there unless I just want to start losing with, fucking Myers or something who's going to slaughtering strike through 29 palettes over the course of 15 Evil Withins. It's going to be great. So that's not really something I'm looking forward to based on the current state of the game as well. And then we're just going to have the holiday event, Christmas, whatever, that's just going to have snowmen and snowballs again. I feel like this is not really much to look forward to right now, and I'm willing to bet we're going to have a pretty steep player decline in the coming months. Is the game going to die? No, of course not. This is not a very dramatic situation we're in. It's just going to be the interest in DBD is going to go down in the next 3-4 months. It is, because the events are going to be basically the same thing that we've already seen. And it's in a state of the game that is a lot harder for killers in general. So killers are going to be not really wanting to play, which is going to lead to imbalances in queue times. Overall, I'm just not super positive about the game right now. Again, I need to make it clear, this is not a super dramatic thing. It's not DBD is dying. Player base is fine. Frankly, the player base right now for this Halloween event is higher than last year. I would have to assume that's due to residuals from Springtrap and stuff like that. But obviously, it's not that huge of an issue. This is just more of like a personal rant. I know some people agree with me as well, especially considering the Halloween event is just not very exciting. But yeah, that's really all this is about. It's just like a whole bunch of stagnation. And as a little random aside, this is not tangentially related to the actual topic of the video itself, but whenever behavior does something bad or they fuck something up, they have a habit of like dangling stuff in front of people's faces. And I gotta say, I'm kind of ashamed in a lot of people for taking the bait. Like, for example, with all of the recent shit people have been upset about, behavior was like, oh, hey, here's the Attack on Titan stuff again. And then on Reddit, there's posts praising them. Oh, they did it. They brought it back. DBD is safe. Like, dude, have a spine, man. They brought back a skin that you probably already have. Like, dude, fucking grow a spine. That shit is pathetic to me. It's sort of like how they made a joke about the support beam in their loading screen, and they added a charm to the game. It's like, no, we get to laugh at you for your incompetence. You don't get to make fun of yourself. We're laughing at you, not with you. It's almost insulting for them to do that. Like, we're allowed to make fun of you, but you somehow didn't play a single game to see this fucking thing in the loading screen. Again, super not a big deal, but it just shows the level of just incompetence and lack of quality control that they have. You don't get to laugh at that. We make fun of you for that. That's just a little aside thing. But anyway, it's just a bunch of frustrations and sort of lack of desire to launch the game lately. And that's basically it. The game will be fine. I'm sure in January we'll get Jason or some crazy shit. We'll be just fine. But it's going to be a boring couple of months here. I'm not looking forward to that. So that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.